This show has a lot to talk about. Hold off on the news until you see it. Visa, Ripple, and BIS all saw that we were there. We'll also talk about Forbes' small crypto chart because it's interesting to see which coins they chose to include. Next, we'll talk about why Ethereum is seen as theft, so please take a seat right away. Now, let's begin. Calm down now. Bitcoin has gone up 83% in the last day to $63,600. Ethereum has gone up 4.8% and is now worth $3,00291. The average price of XRP has gone up by 6% to 52 cents, while the market as a whole has stayed the same. The value of all cryptocurrencies on the market as a whole has stayed the same. The value of all cryptocurrencies on the market just showed. The market capitalization of cryptocurrencies has turned red, and they are now worth $389 billion or $2 trillion. I'd like to tell you a funny story before we talk about the news. Also, we're not too far from the line where the net stops and starts again letting pucks in. We were all amazed, though, that a puck could not get to us because of the net. However, 30 seconds later, that guy got hit in the head and bounced off. Rickett then told us that everything was a mess. He was in a good mood when he got up and cheered as he walked away, so he was bloody. They cheered for him all at once. It was really something like how this puck got off the bounce off of his head and came flying our way was something I've never seen before. It's something I've never seen before. It's something I've never seen before. Before that, though, you know you have to go to a double hockey game the next day. You know that pucks can fly through the air, hit someone in the head, and come very close to landing in your lap. There is not much time left. So everyone should have one. Should Coinbase get rid of Ethereum? This is the poll I sent in. Their use of XRP was temporary until the law was made clear. 80% of the people on the SEC said they should. As with XRP, I think that all US platforms should drop Ethereum and handle it the same way. But since they have a lot of money invested in Ethereum, it's very unlikely that they will. We showed this before in this post and this tweet, and it's still true today. You can see from Matt Corver's resume that he is a consensus lawyer in December 2020. He told me that this was an attempt at a crypto attack, even though I wouldn't talk about Americs. It's a bit silly to say this because in the 5 years I've worked with open technology and cryptocurrencies, no one has said anything positive about the XRP cryptocurrency's chances of success. Some figures say that 75% of all cryptocurrencies are based on Ethereum, which is an interesting fact. Could all of those other cryptocurrencies also be called securities if we said that the Ethereum blockchain was one? Okay, Brad Garlinghouse says that 90% of cryptocurrencies will go away. That's one of the reasons, right? What do you know about this guy? It's pretty interesting. The Ethereum agreement keeps life going for what a great chance it was for Matt and me to be sued by Ripple or XRP. They were laughing and saying that shitcoin was a security measure, but they didn't help or take part in the way. Instead, they just laughed at it. Now, though, look at what's going on. Dr. Ubert said that the SEC is going after them in particular. You can disagree about how well it works, and it doesn't matter how many developers and projects are built on Ethereum, that it is too big to fail, that JP Morgan, the CC, and other powerful institutions back it, or any of the other horrible things that make Ethereum lie, cheat, plot, and be corrupt. The same thing is still true. Ethereum is based on the biggest scam in the history of cryptocurrency. Pay attention to this. I have a question for you that has to do with something that your critics seem to believe to be true. That is, the SEC brought a case against Ripple while you were still its chairman. Some companies in this business have said or hinted that there is a conflict because you give advice to other companies in the same field. Well, let me be clear. While I was there, we brought several cases to the CC's attention that involved stocks and offerings that didn't follow our rules about registering for public distribution. I'll leave it at that. In the specific case you described, as well as my work in the field after leaving the government, I can say that one of the businesses I advise is an institutional asset. I'm not trying to push them, but I do think they should do it. Manager, I think there was also a system that I didn't know about. I got to know these businesses while I was working for the government. Please turn off the sound if you hear this part of the movie after I do. There are copyrights on some of the sounds, so well, we get it. But let's be honest, we know Clayton, Ethereum, and him because you watched the movie. They have all gotten something good out of an agreement or payment. There were even clips of Joe Lubin sitting back and making fun of the SEC. In their own areas of skill, they did amazingly well. They came up with crypto. Things have changed since they left office. So it begs the question, will Bill Hinman pay back the agreement? That's what I want to know. The total value of all cryptocurrencies on the market is very interesting. Brad Garlinghouse thinks that in 10 years, the value of all cryptocurrencies will hit $200 trillion. The value of the Bitcoin market as a whole could go up to more than $5 trillion. People will really pay attention. We're getting close to $5 trillion, even though I'm sure you'll get very close to the $7 trillion mark right now. Since there hasn't been a rotation, the $200 trillion main coin market cap may be one of the biggest we've ever seen. We move on from traditional markets to the second wave of ETFs, which I haven't heard of before. The second group of institutions shows up. This base still has a lot of money. It's scary to get into cryptocurrency. We found out that the Asian markets will open at the end of the month. We still don't have their ATFs, but Morgan Stanley is looking into it. and hasn't put any money into it yet. So far, all we've seen are people who want to be early users. Remember this, Forbes doesn't do anything useful. Now is the time for blockchains. The top 20 blockchains listed below have a market worth of $100 billion, even if they haven't been proven and are mostly used for speculation. Trading in Bitcoin is where you can make the most money. But Charles Egan said they don't have to answer to regulators or owners. He runs ADA as its president. Forbes says that XRP Cardano is right. Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin Flow, Multiverse, Ethereum, SV Manito, Shadow Rero, Alumnum CPEMLM, Stacks Theatrecast. We haven't checked to see if any EOS is a scam. It's interesting that real businesses and central banks are building on top of the XRP platform. People who have tried or used the XRP ledger can attest to its usefulness. It looks like they are trying to sell what they have, which I think is Ethereum and Bitcoin. Just the way you thought it would be interesting, huh? Listen to this. Visa and Ripple are both shown on the same screen in this clip. Todd Fox, who is the Chief Policy Officer for Visas, and Daniel Eden. When talking about XRP, you should first talk to the advisor and solution architect for the BIs. In the past 7 or 8 years, Ripple has mostly worked with banks and has always had business relationships with them. We are a business-to-business B2 billion company that makes it easier for companies to send money to each other across countries. As our customers got used to this technology, though, we saw a chance to make it easier to use and get the result we wanted. Because of this, we moved on to the next step, which was using a digital asset to manage liquidity. XRP serves as a bridge for us. For whatever reason, the next step was to deal with cash using a digital asset. We used XRP as a bridge currency to make it easier to send and receive real currencies. Because of this, end users were not needed to fully understand or grasp this. Everything they saw was cheaper, faster, more reliable, and available around the clock when cryptocurrency was involved. These were all big improvements over what was happening before, which is why we now have a license. We want to become the place where people go to quickly move money whenever they want. That being said, you want comments and responses that are interesting. We are licensed to work with miners in New York. We've sent in license forms all over the world. And the Moss in Singapore just recently gave us a license to be a big payment institution. I think that Ripple will be able to get through this process. No matter what, they will get money this year. Will Twitter become a big deal now that it has a license in every state in the US? Cooking is a hobby that might be good for MasterCard and Visa. At this very moment, I'm sure that someone who has already accessed the XRP record is doing something important that might help Amazon. Having global connections like Visa and MasterCard, as well as the BI's and the IMF's role, makes this even more true. A big announcement about something big is going to be made whenever XRP starts to move. This will help drive up the price of the cryptocurrency even more. You already know where XRP is going, but we'll have to wait and see. The highest point ever.